At 9 on a Monday morning, two people received the same email. Your position has been eliminated, effective immediately. Daniel read it once, then again, then a third time. His chest tightened. He looked around his apartment, the 75-inch television, the leather sectional, the newest phone, the designer bags he bought because they were on sale, the SUV parked downstairs. The storage unit filled with things he had not touched in more than a year. 10 minutes earlier, those things looked like proof that he was successful. Now they looked like bills. Daniel earned $118,000 a year. But after rent, car payments, insurance, subscriptions, storage fees, credit cards, and everything required to maintain his lifestyle, he had enough cash to survive 23 days. Not 23 months. 23 days. Across town, Maya received the same email. She earned $64,000 a year. Her apartment was smaller. Her car was 8 years old. Her kitchen had fewer gadgets. Her closet held clothes she actually wore. She opened her bank account, too. Then she took a slow breath. Maya had 11 months of expenses saved. Her car was paid off. Her monthly bills were low. She had no storage unit, no high-interest debt, no expensive lifestyle demanding another paycheck immediately. The same layoff hit both people, but it did not create the same emergency. Daniel immediately started asking, "What can I sell?" Maya started asking, "What do I want to do next?" That difference did not begin on the day they lost their jobs. Daniel lost his freedom years earlier, one monthly payment at a time. And that is the part most people do not realize until it is too late. Financial security is not just about how much you earn. It is about how much of your life depends on the next paycheck arriving perfectly on time. Minimalist money is not about sleeping on the floor. It is not about owning 3 shirts. It is not about refusing every enjoyable purchase. It is about removing the expenses, possessions, and obligations that quietly take away your choices. Because every dollar your lifestyle requires is a dollar your future income already owes. And the longer you wait to understand that, the harder it becomes to escape. The rules are simple. Buy less, keep less, owe less, automate more. But simple does not mean easy. The first rule challenges the question most people ask every time their income increases. Rule 1. Buy financial margin before you buy lifestyle. Most people receive a raise and ask, what can I afford now? A nicer apartment? A newer car? A better vacation? A more expensive phone plan? Minimalists ask a different question. How much more freedom can this raise buy? That one question can completely change your financial future. Daniel never felt reckless. That is important. He did not wake up one morning and spend his entire paycheck on a sports car. His lifestyle grew slowly. After one promotion, he moved into a better apartment. After the next, he upgraded his car. Then came premium subscriptions, furniture financing, more expensive restaurants, a storage unit, a monthly meal service. Every payment looked manageable. That is how the trap works. You rarely destroy your financial security with one massive mistake. You surrender it through dozens of small payments that feel harmless. Maya received raises too, but before increasing her lifestyle, she increased the gap between what she earned and what she needed. That gap became emergency savings, then investments, then flexibility. While Daniel used raises to look richer, Maya used them to become harder to break. And every year you delay creating that gap, another year of income disappears without building protection. The first purchase after a raise should not always be a better object. Sometimes it should be another month of your life that nobody can control with a paycheck. Rule 2. Calculate the full cost, not the price tag. The price tag tells you what something costs to buy. It does not tell you what it costs to own. Daniel learned that 3 days after the layoff, he decided to sell his SUV. He had paid nearly $48,000 for it. He assumed the sale would give him enough money to breathe. But the dealership offered far less than he expected. After subtracting what he still owed on the loan, Daniel would receive almost nothing. For years, that SUV had required payments, fuel, insurance, repairs, registration, cleaning, and interest. It looked valuable. But when Daniel needed financial help, it could not rescue him. That was when he realized he had confused expensive possessions with assets. An asset strengthens your financial position. A possession can weaken it while still making you look successful. And that difference becomes painfully clear during a crisis. A car is not only the price on the window, It is everything the car will demand after you take it home. The same is true of a larger apartment. More space means higher rent, higher utilities, more furniture, more cleaning, more rooms that eventually feel empty until you fill them. Even small purchases become expensive when they multiply. A $20 item feels harmless, but $20 repeated 50 times becomes $1,000. Then those 50 items need shelves, boxes, drawers, organizers, and sometimes a larger home. You do not just buy possessions. Sometimes you buy an entire lifestyle designed to support those possessions. Before buying something significant, ask, what will this cost today? What will this cost every year? And what other spending will this purchase create? That third question can save you more money than almost any coupon. Rule 3. Test the identity before you fund it. People often buy for the person they imagine becoming. The home gym belongs to the future athlete. The professional camera belongs to the future photographer. The camping equipment belongs to the future adventurer. The expensive kitchen belongs to the future chef. But the purchase happens before the habit exists. Daniel bought a $1,600 exercise bike. He used it 11 times. That came to more than $145 per workout before financing, maintenance, or the space it occupied. He was not buying exercise equipment. He was buying the feeling of becoming disciplined. The feeling lasted longer than the habit. Maya almost bought an entire camping setup. Instead, she rented the equipment for one weekend. She enjoyed the trip, but she also realized she did not enjoy camping enough to own hundreds of dollars of equipment. Renting cost her money, but it saved her from turning one weekend of excitement into years of storage. Borrow first, rent first, buy used first, try the smaller version first. Let your behavior prove the purchase deserves a permanent place in your life, because the objects you buy for imaginary versions of yourself do not just take money. They become reminders of goals you never followed. And by the time you admit you do not need them, most have already lost much of their resale value. Rule 4. Use the replacement test. Look around your home. Choose one item. Then ask, if this disappeared tonight, would I spend my own money to replace it tomorrow? Not someday. Not because it was on sale. Tomorrow. Maya used this test every few months. The laptop she used for work stayed. The coat she wore every winter stayed. The blender she used every morning stayed. But the duplicate kitchen appliances failed. The uncomfortable shoes failed. The boxes from hobbies she had abandoned failed. She sold some items. She donated others. And her apartment did not feel empty. It felt easier. She cleaned faster. She stopped buying organizers. She knew where everything was. Most importantly, she became more careful about what entered her home next. That is the real financial benefit of decluttering. It is not the $50 you make selling an old appliance. It is preventing the next 5 unnecessary purchases. Open one closet today and ask how many items you would actually pay to replace. The answer may reveal how much money is sitting around you in the form of regret. Rule 5. Never replace a functioning item because you are bored. Boredom is one of the most expensive problems people try to solve with money. Your phone works, your television works, your car works. But a newer version appears, and suddenly the one you own feels outdated. Nothing changed about its function. Only your feelings changed. Daniel replaced 3 working phones in 6 years. Every new camera felt exciting. Every new design felt better. And within weeks, each phone became normal. That is the upgrade cycle. Excitement, purchase, temporary satisfaction, normality. Then another upgrade. The cycle never ends because newer will always exist. Minimalists do not ask, is there a better version? There is always a better version. They ask, does my current version still do the job? Boredom is not failure. A new color is not progress. A better camera will not improve a life that is already financially fragile. Every unnecessary upgrade takes money away from something less exciting but far more powerful. An emergency fund, an investment, a debt payment, a month of freedom. The cost is not only what you spend, it is what that money will never become. Rule 6. Keep fixed expenses low enough to survive a bad year. People love arguing about coffee, but coffee is rarely what destroys financial security. Fixed expenses do. Rent, car payments, insurance, loans, subscriptions, storage, anything that arrives every month whether your income does or not. When you lose your job, you can stop ordering food immediately. You cannot instantly escape a lease. You cannot erase a car loan. You cannot sell an expensive vehicle without dealing with what you still owe. Daniel canceled subscriptions, stopped eating out, paused every unnecessary expense he could find. But it was not enough. His major payments remained. He had cut the extras, but the basic cost of being Daniel was still too high. That is financial fragility. It means your life has a large minimum payment. Maya chose an apartment she could afford comfortably, not the most impressive apartment a landlord would approve. She kept her car after the loan ended. She avoided turning temporary raises into permanent bills. That decision felt boring during good years. During a bad year, it felt like freedom. Before accepting a new monthly payment, imagine your income dropping by 30%. Would you still be calm? Would you still be able to save? Would you still be able to say no to a bad job? 5 weeks after the layoff, Daniel received an offer. The salary was lower. The commute was longer. The work did not interest him. He wanted to reject it. Then he looked at the next month's bills. "I cannot turn this down," he said quietly. "My payments will not let me." Daniel's employer did not force him to accept that job. His lifestyle did. That is what high fixed expenses take from you. Not only money, choice. Rule 7. Automate security before you automate comfort. Maya did not wait until the end of the month to see whether she had enough discipline to save. The money moved automatically on payday. Part went to emergency savings, part went to long-term investments. Then she lived on what remained. Daniel used the opposite order. His paycheck entered checking. Bills came out. Spending happened. Then he planned to save what remained. Usually, nothing remained. Both people earned enough to save. Only one built a system that made saving unavoidable. Willpower is unreliable. Systems keep working when you are busy, stressed, excited, or distracted. Automate the action that protects your future before companies automate the payments that consume your present. Because every month you wait to build that system is another month when your money depends on your mood. Rule 8. Make spending slightly inconvenient. Shopping has become almost frictionless. One tap, one click, same-day delivery. Companies know that the longer you think, the less likely you are to buy, so they remove thinking from the process. You should put it back. Delete shopping apps. Remove stored payment information. Wait 48 hours before buying something unnecessary. Keep items on a list instead of immediately placing an order. Unsubscribe from promotional emails. Avoid browsing stores when you are bored. The goal is not to make spending impossible. It is to create enough time for the emotion to disappear. Excitement passes, stress passes, envy passes. Boredom passes, the payment remains. Ask yourself how many purchases you would never have made if buying them required a 2-day wait. That number is probably larger than you think. Rule 9. Define enough before your income grows. This might be the most important rule. If you do not decide what enough looks like, the world will keep deciding for you. The apartment gets larger, the car gets newer, the vacations get more expensive, the standard rises, but satisfaction resets. Soon, the lifestyle you once dreamed about feels ordinary. Then you need another upgrade just to feel progress. Daniel never created a finish line. Every raise revealed another version of life he believed he should have. Maya decided what mattered before more money arrived. She wanted a safe home, reliable transportation, a few meaningful trips, quality items she used regularly, and enough financial margin to leave a bad situation. Once those needs were met, additional income did not automatically become additional consumption. It became protection. Enough does not mean cheap. It means deliberate. You can spend more on travel and less on cars, more on food and less on fashion, more on a peaceful home and less on technology. Minimalism does not mean refusing to spend. It means refusing to spend heavily on everything. Because when every category becomes a priority, your future never gets funded. 6 months after the layoff, Daniel and Maya were living very different lives. Daniel was working again, but his new job paid less. The commute was worse. He still had the SUV because selling it would barely clear the loan. He still had the storage unit because he kept postponing the work of emptying it. He had income again, but he did not feel secure. He felt trapped. Maya took longer to accept a job. She completed a professional certification. She rejected one unstable offer. She carefully compared her options. Then she accepted a position with better pay and stronger long-term potential. The layoff was the same. The difference was optionality. Maya's smaller lifestyle gave her a larger life. Daniel's larger lifestyle gave him fewer choices. That is the realization behind minimalist money. You are not only buying objects, you are trading future options for present possessions. Sometimes that trade is worth it. Often, it is not. Every fixed payment makes a claim on income you have not earned yet. Every unnecessary upgrade uses money that can never protect or grow for you. And every month you delay changing your habits makes the lifestyle harder to escape. The biggest financial mistake is not owning too much. It is realizing the cost at 55 instead of 35. It is looking back and understanding that the money was there, but the margin was never built. Financial security is not the salary printed on your employment contract. It is the amount of time you can remain calm when that salary disappears. It is the ability to repair your car without borrowing. Leave a toxic job. Help someone you love. Handle an emergency. Reject the wrong opportunity. And wait for the right one. So take one action today. Open your banking app. Calculate how many months your life could continue without another paycheck. Then look around your home and ask how many possessions are helping you build security and how many are quietly preventing it. Choose one monthly payment to eliminate, one category to declutter, one transfer to automate, one purchase to delay, and one definition of enough to write down. You do not need to throw away everything you own. You need to stop building a life that requires every future paycheck to arrive perfectly on time. Buy less, keep less, owe less, automate more. Because the person with the highest salary is not always the most secure. The person with the most possessions is not always the wealthiest. Sometimes the richest person in the room is simply the one who still has the power to walk away.